The wait is finally over. Well, sort of. After an extremely long drought, Nintendo shadow dropped a brand new trailer for the Nintendo Switch 2, and I am beyond hyped. Oh, who could have guessed that? Seriously though, being able to see some of this console's brand new gimmicks and its awesome new controllers was so exciting, but I think the most important confirmation from this announcement trailer was, well, the announcement within the announcement, because now we know that this is only just the beginning, with a massive Nintendo Direct happening in April that will go over everything covering Switch 2. With us getting this information and also finally getting a glimpse of the console, I think the biggest question left on all of our minds is what games will be released on this console, because we are definitely getting some heavy hitters this year. So with what we do already know, what kind of games can we expect? Well, in this video, I'm going to be going over a bunch of games that I would love to see on the Switch 2 and giving them a rating based on how likely I think they are to come to the new console. There's so much to go over, so let's start out with a game that could be absolutely massive, and the best part is we already know we're getting it. That's right, the first game we're talking about here is Mario Kart 9, or Mario Kart Switch 2. The fact that this is the only Switch 2 original game we know of right now makes me think it definitely has to be a launch title, but I guess theoretically it could come out a couple months after the launch, but it will come out in 2025. That's basically guaranteed, so I'm giving Mario Kart 9, or whatever this is called, a 100% likelihood we will get it within the first year of the Switch's life. It'll probably be within the first day of the Switch's life, but you know, that's why it gets 100%. This is definitely the next major Mario Kart installment because it has a completely different style, obviously new tracks, and the biggest feature we know of, 24 racers. I don't think people fully comprehend just how big of a change 24 racers is. It will change everything about how this game is played, and I cannot wait to see more because I just have so many questions. What about like retro tracks? Are they gonna make retro tracks a lot bigger so they can accommodate double the player count? What does this orange thing do? We've already made multiple videos just talking about Mario Kart 9, so I'll move on for this video, but this game looks so sick and it's definitely coming out within the first year of the Switch 2. The next game I want to talk about is a game that's already confirmed for 2025, but for the Nintendo Switch. However, it has been rumored to be a dual launch for Switch and Switch 2 for a long time, and this game is Metroid Prime 4. I could definitely see this being a Switch 2 launch title, kind of like Breath of the Wild launched on both the Wii U and the original Nintendo Switch. If Nintendo is going back and updating past Switch games to have visual and performance upgrades, then I guess this doesn't really need a dual release, but it's technically possible. The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess released on both the Wii and the GameCube, despite the Wii already being backwards compatible. The main reason why was to show off the Wii's different controls with the motion controls built into the Wii version of that game. Maybe we could see something similar with Prime 4 being not only a graphical upgrade, but the Switch 2 version also utilizing the Switch 2's mouse functionality? Yeah, I could see it. Metroid Prime 4 is obviously a game we are getting for Switch 1 in 2025, so that's a 100%. But in terms of it getting a specific Switch 2 release, I personally think it's pretty high. I'm gonna say like a 70% chance that they sell a Switch 2 version of this game, again, kind of like they did with Twilight Princess, despite the fact that the Wii was also backwards compatible anyway. Next up, let's quickly talk about another game that's in a kind of similar situation. That is Pokemon Legends ZA. This is pretty much the same deal as Metroid Prime 4. However, there's one added wrinkle. Game Freak had a massive leak last year that was like a full-on data mine with tons of confidential stuff getting out there, and it pretty much stated that there was no Switch 2 release planned for this game. Obviously, that is not confirmed. That could be outdated information or somehow just straight wrong, but it seems like the most likely route is us getting a Switch release, and maybe they put out a tweet saying like, hey, if you want to run this game in 4K 60 FPS or whatever, you can do so on Switch 2. So it's 100% likely we're getting it on Switch 1, but I would say probably like a 10% chance that we get a specific Switch 2 release of this game, as in they will like put a Switch 2 box in stores that has this game in it. This next game might be the single game I'm most excited to talk about in this video. A new 3D Mario simply needs to happen because it's way overdue since the last full 3D Mario game, which released in 2017. I would expect this game to release around the holiday like Mario Odyssey did. In terms of what to expect when it actually comes to playing the game, I genuinely think that it's going to be a massive overworld similar to Bowser's Fury, but way bigger. With the Switch 2 just being a more powerful version of the Switch, we need games that truly demonstrate this new Switch's power to consumers. Just as Nintendo decided to reveal a brand new Mario Kart that now features 24 racers and a massive, almost open world looking track, this is now the perfect opportunity to give 3D Mario the same treatment. Especially because A, they experimented with it already in terms of like Lapcat and Bowser's Fury, and B, they've had so much time to make a brand new 3D Mario game. This could easily be the greatest 3D Mario game ever, ever, and I honestly do think it is pretty likely to release in 2025. I'm giving it a 90% chance. Yeah, I'm confident, but I think they're following the Switch 1 game plan here and releasing a brand new super hyped 3D Mario for the first holiday of this console's lifespan. The next game I want to talk about has a 100% likelihood of happening. The game is the press the subscribe button game. It's not actually on the Switch 2. In fact, it's right below this video right now. But if you press the subscribe button, you get a bunch of Switch 2 coverage with quality videos every single day, and we get happy, so thank you. Alright, back to the video. Next, let's take a trip to Inkopolis and talk about the Splatoon franchise. Splatoon 2 was one of the first games to release on the Switch, and the main reason I think this is likely is just because it's a game with such a heavy online presence. Nintendo released Splatoon 2 just 2 years after the first Splatoon released, and that was when it was a brand new IP. Now Splatoon has become one of Nintendo's biggest franchises, and they want that fan base to adopt the new console, and again, this is another game that could definitely benefit from improved hardware. Imagine custom lobbies with 16 people playing at once. That would be ridiculous. The main thing this game needs, though, is a new ranked mode. This isn't something that we could only get on the Switch 2, but Splatoon 3 didn't give us a single new ranked mode, and all Splatoon 2 gave us was Clan Blitz, which is easily the worst ranked mode in the rotation. The Salmon Run updates and campaign in Splatoon 3 were cool, but the core PvP experience is what most people play this game for. For this next game to call itself Splatoon 4, a new ranked mode or a new bigger lobby PvP mode in general, something like that is a must-have. I'm giving Splatoon 4 a 65% chance. I do think it's decently likely because again, Nintendo just wants to move this community over to the Switch 2. Next, let's talk about a brand new Animal Crossing game. Obviously, this will come to the Switch 2 because New Horizons was the second best-selling game on the original Switch. Not only that, but Animal Crossing sells so many systems. There is such a core fan base out there for Animal Crossing, and it's a huge fan base that don't really care about Mario Kart or Smash Bros or Splatoon or, any other game. But as soon as a new Animal Crossing that you can only play on the Switch 2 comes out, they will buy the Switch 2. Nintendo knows this. They saw it firsthand during New Horizons Mania, so you can definitely bet that they're fast-tracking the next Animal Crossing game for the Nintendo Switch 2. However, there's a couple of caveats here. First of all, the Animal Crossing team has a very similar development staff to Splatoon. They're not entirely one-to-one, as I've seen some people say, but they definitely share many employees, including key figures like game designers and whatnot. Because of that, both a Splatoon and an Animal Crossing game probably won't release this year. I also think the Switch originally benefited so heavily from Animal Crossing releasing 3 years into its lifespan, so I would say Splatoon 4 is probably the more likely game to get within the Switch 2's first year. That gives Animal Crossing just a 10% chance. Yeah, I don't think it's really gonna happen because I'm just leaning towards Splatoon 4 and I don't think it's possible we could get both in the year. Alright, next up, how do you ever possibly follow up Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? Well, I don't know. If you know, I'm actually curious. Drop a comment down below, but I think the only people who actually know right now are Nintendo because, well, they are definitely working on a brand new Smash Bros. Game. I've heard people say that Ultimate should be the send-off to the series, and first of all, it's a platform fighter. It's not that deep. It doesn't need a grand final installment conclusion, but also, dude, it makes so much money. They're not just gonna stop making Smash Bros. Games. It might be drastically different to separate itself from the masterpiece that is Ultimate, but there is some new sort of Smash Bros. Game in development, and we also know that Sakurai is working on a new game, and he's also already shown some enthusiasm for this new console. Maybe it's Smash? I don't know. I feel like with every new Smash game, there's always rumors about Sakurai retiring from the series like he did with Kirby. In fact, he has pretty much said it would be hard to make a new game as impactful as Ultimate, which, I mean, I agree with, but we obviously can't know for sure what Sakurai is working on, and it very much could be a brand new Smash entry. Even if he's not leading the project though, there is a new Smash Bros. Game in development. That's just how a successful series works, and a new Smash would definitely be a system seller, making it a great game to get out early, but I also think it's a game that should have a lot of time dedicated to it before its release. If this was a year one release for the Switch, I would be very impressed. Even though I think Nintendo would certainly be on board to get the game out as quickly as possible, I just feel like the Smash Bros. Announcement to release cycle is normally big enough to warrant its own year, so I don't think we'll get it in the first year of the Switch 2. I'm giving a new Smash game a 20% likelihood. Next, let's jump back to Pokemon and discuss a Pokemon Black and White remake. This is supposedly in development due to some potential leaks, and it's obviously the next Pokemon remake in line. However, I believe this would be the first time a major remake, except for Let's Go, I guess, was released before a new generation on a new console. Also, this could just be a Switch 1 game. I don't know much about a Black and White remake other than the fact that, well, it's the next remake we're gonna get. The leaks make me a bit more confident we might get this year, but I guess only time will tell. I'm giving it a 25% likelihood. Next, let's talk about a series that could potentially potentially benefit so much from being on the Switch too. That series is Super Mario Maker. The main thing I think is cool about a new Mario Maker on the Switch 2 is the potential to use the mouse functionality. Honestly, when transitioning from Mario Maker 1 to Mario Maker 2, it was really hard to get used to making levels without the gamepad, and with the mouse feature, that could definitely make up for that, and this might just be the perfect game to showcase this brand new control scheme. It's unlikely to come out within the first year though. That's simply because a brand new 3D Mario makes way more sense. Mario Maker is cool, but realistically, it's not a system seller. In fact, Mario Maker 2 got outperformed by a port of New Super Mario Bros. U, and while I'm sure we will get an eventual Mario Maker 3 on the Switch 2, I just doubt this is the year for it. 5% for Mario Maker. The only real reason I'm bringing up a potential Xenoblade Chronicles 4 is because Xenoblade Chronicles 2 launched within the first year of the Switch, and since then, the series has only gotten bigger. The main reason Nintendo might hold off on this, though, is because we're already getting Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Switch in March, and while that game obviously doesn't take up as much development time as a full new entry, there do seem to be quite a lot of changes that could point to Xenoblade Chronicles 4 maybe coming out a bit later. This is a no-brainer for the Switch, though. Any game that has a massive overworld immediately screams Switch 2, and having a massive overworld is just what Xenoblade Chronicles does best. This is definitely a matter of when rather than if. I just don't know if this is the year for this game, given that we already have another Xenoblade coming out this year, granted a remake, so I'm putting it at 20%. Next, let's talk about Nintendo Switch Sports Resort. Yeah, the only way this could even happen is if it was a launch title, but there also aren't any major gimmicks for motion controls that we know of, so I don't really know why they would make a Switch Sports launch title. The mouse is not like active. That does not scream like Switch Sports or Wii Sports. It's a mouse. It's not like, you know, you're not swinging it around. You're kind of just moving your wrist. I think the main reason Nintendo would even bother continuing with this series is because Nintendo Switch Sports did so well despite it, well, not taking that much effort. Like, I was excited in this game, but how in the world do you delay a golf update for a Nintendo sports game? Like, honestly, people are just nostalgic for Wii Sports and want an opportunity to play it on a modern console. With that being said though, I don't really see a reason for this to be a launch title or a year one release. This isn't really a system seller anymore, rather people just want to be able to play a Nintendo sports game on modern hardware that they already own. 5% for Nintendo Switch Sports Resort. Next up, we have something that might not happen, I hate to say it. Miyamoto mentioned years ago how he wanted to really find the right controller for a new F-Zero game. Unfortunately, we've then had crazy controllers such as the Joy-Con and the Wii U gamepad, and Nintendo didn't make an F-Zero game for those, so I don't know. At this point, it's more so a matter of whether or not Nintendo cares about F-Zero at all anymore. Like, we did get F-Zero 99, but I'm honestly a bit surprised that we haven't gotten a remake of F-Zero GX like we did with Metroid Prime. Like, genuinely, the most attention F-Zero has gotten for the past 2 decades has been in Mario Kart 8. I also want to shout out this comment by the Project Side 6812. This comment was left on my video talking about games that could use the mouse functionality, and they say that by using the mouse as kind of a throttle, it could probably be used for new F-Zero games, as obviously, as we said, Nintendo will only revive F-Zero if they have fresh ideas for the franchise. I think this comment is a great idea. Seriously, I would love to see this. Unfortunately, in terms of will it actually happen, I'm giving F-Zero a 1% chance. As cool as it would be to zoom around at ridiculous speeds on the ultra-powerful Switch 2, Nintendo has had every opportunity to make an F-Zero game for the past several years, and they haven't, so I don't even really know if this is something they're interested in anymore, especially for the first year of a brand new console. The next game I want to talk about is 1,000,000% confirmed, baby. We're definitely getting it. That is Kid Icarus Uprising HD. Or 4K, maybe, I don't know. Will this actually happen? Now, unfortunately, I hate to break it to you, but that 1,000,000% confirmed I said earlier might have just been copium. I've loved Kid Icarus Uprising, and I've wanted to see it on a modern console for so long. Get that thing off of the 3DS, let us see the brilliant visuals, and more importantly, have a better control scheme. There's also never been a better control scheme than the Switch 2, because this is a game that is not only screaming for like a twin-stick aiming setup, but it's even more screaming for a mouse, which now we actually have. I never even thought it would be feasible to play this game with a mouse, and now I guess it's technically possible. This is a game that needs a remake because it's been stuck on the 3DS, and this is now the perfect opportunity to finally port this game. I don't know if it's a year one title, but I really want this game regardless. And come on, if we're porting 3DS games, I will take this over Luigi's Mansion 2 HD any day. Realistically, I'm gonna give it like a 15%, but I don't know. I'm saying 1,000,000. Never mind, it's 1,000,000. I want this game so bad, man. All right, the final thing we have to talk about is a brand new IP. Yes, every once in a blue moon, Nintendo comes out with a brand new IP. Sometimes Sometimes this game shakes up an entire genre in the way only Nintendo knows how. Sometimes new IP is just a bit of a flop, but at least it's always interesting. Nintendo is at their most engaging when they're trying new stuff, and there's nothing more new than an entire new universe we could jump into. Now, this doesn't have to be huge. It could literally be an eShop title like Snipper Clips. I just think some sort of new IP we haven't seen before is actually pretty likely. Sticking on this Snipper Clips idea, I have a full concept for this game that I want to run by you guys. So the Switch 2 has this mouse functionality. In my mind, Nintendo will have to put out a game on launch that kind of shows the mouse functionality in a more casual setting. This could just be like a 1, 2, 3 switch mouse thing, but I'm not even talking about that because that would be awful. What about a brand new IP where the whole gameplay is using the mouse and you play as a mouse? Yeah, that's right. Welcome to my new game called Mouse Quest. You ever play Nintendo Land on the Wii U? Yeah, it's just a Yoshi game from that, where you basically have to draw a line to collect different fruit, but the fruit actually disappears so you can't always see it. Instead of Yoshi, it's a mouse. Instead of fruit, it's like cheese or something. Boom, you draw with the mouse instead of the gamepad touchscreen. It's called Mouse Quest. What a great game. I mean, you know, Nintendo, hire me, please. Anyway, whether the new IP is Mouse Quest or something entirely different, I do think it's pretty likely we will get a new IP. Again, doesn't have to be huge. It could literally be an eShop title, but I'm giving a brand new IP from Nintendo a 65% chance likelihood. And with that out of the way, thank you guys all so much for watching, and click the video on screen right now to hear 10 insane theories about the new Mario Kart Switch 2 footage. I had such a fun time making that video, so check it out if you're interested.